Moving on to the worst offenders on the list, let's start with the easier ones and work our way up. Number 10, cats. This is not so much an instance of an animal misusing a drug as it is a misperception. It's highly likely that if you own a cat, you've tried giving them nepitacetaria, also referred to as catnip. This one, however, is a herb that is closely related to mint rather than a medication like the others on the list. However, it does include nepitalactone, a substance that for certain cats may have a slight transient stimulating effect. And the thing about catnip is that some cats, nip, are impacted by it and will go completely wild for it, but some will only serve as a reminder that you cannot purchase their love and they still refuse to interact with you. These are the most typical effects of catnip, though there are many more. In it, they will roll around. After consuming it, individuals will either get extremely hyper or quite relaxed. Number 9, dolphins. This is an additional widely used one that most people have most likely heard about. When people get intoxicated, they all like retelling this story. So let's just finish this one now. It is true indeed. The true ocean's threats are dolphins, who are reprehensible losers who like highs. They accomplish this by first encircling a pufferfish and then gently biting on it in turns. To ensure that the pufferfish is severely traumatized for the remainder of its life, the group of dolphins will do more than just nuzzle and bite it. They will also fling the fish out of the water and play catch with it. And as you may expect, this sends the puffer into complete panic, activating its defense system and causing it to release tetrodotoxin, a lethal poison. It is among the poisons that kill the most people worldwide. To put things in perspective, 30 adult humans, or around 15 Americans of average size, may be killed by the toxin found in one puffer fish. Dolphins now know exactly how much of the toxin they can withstand without dying. In fact, they've been caught on camera circulating the puffer for 20 to 30 minutes at a time before let it to swim away. It's interesting to note how the poison affects the dolphins. They appear to enter a euphoric state during which they become extremely at ease and relaxed. They even appear to be utterly enthralled with their own reflection in the water. Number 8, birds. All right, so these are the ones that most people have probably seen firsthand but haven't heard about. Have you ever seen a dead bird that has crashed into a building or window and sat there thinking to yourself, how could it have had so much room to fly and still ended up crashing? In actuality, though, it was most likely flying while intoxicated. This typically occurs following the first frost, which triggers the fermentation of fruits and berries to produce ethanol, a form of alcohol. Naturally, birds are aware of this. After that, they will consume as much of the fermented fruit or berries as they can in order to become fully intoxicated. Furthermore, bird alcoholism is becoming more common in some regions of the world. Take a look at Yukon, Canada, where a bird sanctuary, basically a drunk tank for birds, was constructed for birds who have consumed excessive amounts of alcohol. They are kept in these little cages until they get sober. However, as soon as they do, they are set free to return to the wild and continue their wild behavior. Thus, keep in mind that the next time you spot a bird that isn't flying straight, he's most likely a depraved, worthless drinker. Number 7, honeybees. Like number 8, this one is likely unknown to most people, but after you hear about it, you'll discover that you've undoubtedly encountered it at some point in your life. Now, this one has a different ending than what you would see at a massage parlor and is a little more violent. Ever notice a honeybee crawling on the ground without any apparent desire to fly? When I was younger, I used to believe that this was because the bee had just stung someone and was now experiencing a terrible, excruciatingly slow death. But as an adult, I know a lot more today. I now know that a crawling bee is either extremely inebriated or experiencing a terrible, excruciatingly slow death. You see, plants' nectar has the ability to ferment when temperatures rise, leading to the production of alcohol. Therefore, bees become utterly inebriated when they visit the plant to gather pollen and consume some of that wonderful fermenting nectar. And this is when you may discover a bee that has completely lost control over its movement and sense of direction. The unfortunate aspect is that, should the bee manage to make a miraculous recovery, it will have to pass through the garden bees en route to its new home. Comparable to the Vibes bouncer, but even more vicious, nasty, and cold-blooded. One of two things will occur if an inebriated bee visits the Vibe. Either his arms, wings, legs, antennas, and eyeballs will be severed, and he will suffer an excruciatingly slow death, or he will be banned from the planet for life. Don't worry though, everything is done for the colony's benefit, because the fermented nectar in the flowers has the potential to bring the colony to ruin as a whole. Number 6. Fruit fly. It has been discovered by researchers at a San Francisco university that male fruit flies have poor rejection tolerance. According to studies, male fruit flies actively seek out alcohol when they are turned down by a possible mate. Who would have guessed that I and the fly have a lot in common? Number 5. Vervet monkeys. This is the last animal on the list that is appropriate for an A meeting right now. And the only reason they are so high on the list is that, in addition to being drinkers, they are blatantly repulsive crooks. When fermented fruit is no longer a source of satisfaction for these monkeys, they resort to a life of crime and become expert at stealing alcohol from tourists. They lurk in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. The first mistake someone makes is setting down their drink, because it's already too late if you turn aside. The monkey will already be gobbling down the alcohol with its oily little hands. I will give them credit though, because they do have some of the best photos. Because of how problematic these monkeys are, the Caribbean island of St. Martin just approved legislation allowing them to eradicate all of the monkeys, apparently all 450 of them. As soon as I finished speaking, it occurred to me that I might have omitted that last bit. Number 4. The black lemur. We've moved past pufferfish and booze to the really tough stuff now. Okay, to be honest, pufferfish is quite crazy, but that one was already well known, so that's why I ranked it first. But enough about that, let's get on to the black lemur. Who would have imagined that these adorable creatures from the island of Madagascar would become such vile and horrible beings? The main food of the black lemur is fruit. However, it also occasionally enjoys eating cyanide along with other hazardous compounds. When it comes to a millipede and starts to gently nibble on it, it can eat this. The millipede curls up as a result, releasing a poisonous substance that keeps animals from consuming it. However, this chemical only serves as a warning to the boys that they are going to have an exciting evening. Getting your hands on this toxic substance has one health benefit, unlike the other items on the list. And the lemur drools excessively after taking one hit from the millipede. They then start rubbing their bodies with poisons and saliva to ward against malaria-carrying insects. Don't assume it's all business though. As the centipede strikes the lemurs more and more, they take in more and more of the poison until they are totally destroyed. They get to the point where sleeping it off is the only thing to do because they are so high. Number 3. Reindeer. That tiny red mushroom from the Mario video games comes to mind. Its official name is Amanita muscaria, and as I'm sure you've heard, it's quite toxic and causes very strong hallucinations. However, the reindeer people of Siberia, Russia, don't appear to care about this. In fact, they go to considerable measures to find and consume it. They start acting strangely as soon as they consume it, and the effects start. They eventually start circling aimlessly and start making odd noises. However, the simple fact that they have a negative impact on other people is the reason the rainforest ranks so highly. It seems that people observed them consume the magic mushrooms, and they made it appear so enjoyable that we had to give it a try. While some people died, others became extremely high and experienced some of the most vivid and powerful hallucinations. Moreover, rather than replying, "You know what, boys, we really took a hit on this one, and going forward we should probably stay away from these mushrooms." No, since the urine was thought to sterilize the toxins while maintaining the effects of the mushrooms, someone came up with the bright idea to drink the frontier's urine instead. He was correct, too. After then, people could embark on crazy hallucinogenic adventures with reinders. In fact, some individuals think that this is the origin of the Santa Claus legend. The magic mush Christmas theory is the name given to this theory. Number 2. Jaguars. Even the most powerful predator, I suppose, needs a vacation from mutilating and murdering prey. They accomplish this by searching for the yahe vine, which is a key component of ayahuasca, which is thought to be the most potent hallucinogen on the planet. And when the effects start to take hold, the cat starts to transform into a big, silly, drunk kitten. This whole thing was captured on camera a few years ago and may be seen in an interesting BBC piece. Number 1. Parrots. Now this one had gone to last due to this variety of situations. These birds in northern India are so dependent on opium that their addiction has resulted in farmers reporting significant revenue losses. The farmers who have obtained special permission from other companies to cultivate the plant have made every effort to prevent the birds from consuming their plants. Furthermore, it's not unusual to witness a parrot take off with an entire pod of opium all to himself. It seems that one parrot will visit 30 to 40 times a day to nibble on the opium milk. And the terrible thing is that parrots addicted to opium are practically lost to life because it's a hard drug with serious health risks. Because the birds suffer from such terrible withdrawals as soon as the farmers harvest the plant, it ultimately proves fatal for them, and it becomes commonplace to see parrots falling from trees and power lines. The vicious cycle repeats itself, akin to an endless nightmare, as soon as the farmers plant the next crop of opium the following year.